right, hello everyone. Just checking my view here, seeing what you are going to see, making sure that you'll be able to see. I have to do a little adjusting here. Right, that's looking pretty good. Okay, so we have mindful cardio today. I wanted to start though. Um, I'm Ingrid. If you haven't joined mindful cardio before, here we are. Um, Double checking my view again, seeing how we look. Uh, there we go. A little more even there. Don't enough get in the way of my camera. I have to take a little bit of an angle in this room, so it's just bear with me. I'll be right. Yes, I feel like that's a little better. Okay. You'll need some kind of equipment to do your cardio piece. And I've got a step here, but if you've got your bike or a rowing machine, something like that that you can use, um, that'll be perfect. Let's start though on the mat. We're going to start on the mat, get a little warmed up with some Pilates, and then we'll come up to our feet and work um, into our cardio stuff. The other thing I thought we might chat about a little bit in a couple of these sessions is about sleep. So I've been listening to some podcasts and referencing a book a little bit myself, and so I wanted to share a little bit of that with you. Let's come down onto your back. So just starting our um, class here, checking out how we feel. Our title is Mindful Cardio. We're going to get into that cardio. Just thought I'd see how it lands for my body, how it lands for your body to warm up the core a little bit, and then come on up to our feet. So let's start with bringing the knees over the hips and just balancing the knees there, noticing what happens in your low back. Does the low back imprint? Does it come to the floor? And maybe you can find a position for the knees where the back is just a little elevated and but very supported by the belly. And just noticing that work for your abdominals to start. And then notice where your shins land. A lot of people bring the knees over the hips. The shins have to be just as high as the knees. Let's let the shins drip down a little bit. And then let's take one knee at a time. Let that knee drift away from you. Tap your toe. And then the other one, tap your toe. And likely your toe or the ball of your foot will be what meets the floor here in this position. And we're going to come right back up to where we started, but not further in. And continuing, continuing, continuing. Good. And let's rotate those feet. This just feels kind of nice, rotating both directions. Bring the legs back down. Inhale here. Exhale. And let that back, low back especially, kind of relax. The belly can relax. Good. Bringing the hands together, interlacing the fingers. Let's bring the hands behind the head. Nice deep breath. I'm going to lift that head just to hovering. So just lifting it up. A lot of times I'll say lift the head to hovering, and people are already way up here. See if you can find that space where you're literally feeling the heaviness of your head into the hands. And then rather than forcing the elbows outward, let them drift in and actually bring them in a little bit further than you might even think you need to. Now, I'm not bringing them all the way in to crunch in toward my head, but a little bit further than like kind of that midway point is where I really want to aim for. All right, and then we're going to take that exhale ribs drawing in and down to lift the shoulders and the shoulder blades as much as we can. Coming up here to pause, holding here, relaxed in my face as much as I can, relaxed in my neck, really using the belly. 3, 2, 1. Coming back, not just letting go all at once, but slowly releasing. Hands behind the head, lift to hover. Exhale. You can sort of reach through your elbows just a little bit as well here. You can see how they can be a little more involved in our reach and our lift of the upper body. If they're out here, it's really hard for them to help out. Right here, I can actually, I'm not cranking on my neck, but I'm reaching through those elbows just a little bit. Holding here, take a breath, and then slowly coming back. 3, 2, 1. Good. Bring the hands out. I'm going to come back to that lower body, those knee folds we were working with. So knees over the hips. And then remember how we dropped the legs all the way, the shins? Now maybe you come halfway up, maybe you come all the way up here. You can kind of see how that feels for you. Now, the one thing I'll see a lot is I'll say, let your knee go and bring that heel to the floor or whatever part of your foot reaches. And a lot of people end up kind of extending their knee out. We're not really working that way yet. There's a different way to work. Just think about hinging at your hip. The hip joint here is moving and coming back in. The knee doesn't move at all. Once you find that angle so go ahead and do one side. Once you find that angle you're going to play with, keep it right there at that angle. Don't extend, don't contract that knee joint anymore. Just staying nice and steady. Doing one side. Belly is getting lots of work. If you're feeling it a lot in the hip flexor, right at the hip crease, bring a little more attention to the belly. I'm going to try the other side. Tap, 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 and tap. 3, not too fast. 2, tap. Good. Feet are going to come down. Relax my belly. Relax my back. Hands behind the head. Elbows come into place. Let them come in a little bit further than you might normally go without squeezing in toward the face. Coming up, all the way up into that mini crunch. Let's bring the knees over the hips while we are up in that mini crunch. Still trying to take as much of the shoulder blades away from the floor. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Feet come down, upper body coming back. Relaxing the belly. Good. So if you haven't done any Pilates in the last few days, this is probably feeling okay. If you've done a little bit of Pilates, you might be really feeling that. I'm going to move a little farther away from my step there behind me. That seems a little close for comfort. All right. I'm going to work a little bit with this crossing over toward my opposite hip, shoulder toward my hip. So maybe even making that movement yourself, noticing here's my shoulder, here's my opposite. Um, Actually, the hip, where I'm taking it to the opposite side of the pelvis, right? And I'm going to do that in my mini crunch in just a moment. But that's the direction I want to go. So even if my knees come up, I'm not aiming shoulder really toward my knee, but shoulder toward that hip. So let's keep the feet down to start. Let's hold our head and then have those elbows come in. And I'm going to reach up, shoulder toward my opposite hip. Reach up, opposite, shoulder toward my opposite hip. Maybe I'm even thinking more shoulder toward my opposite outer pelvis. Outer pelvis, that space over there. And am I rocking back and forth? Am I moving in my lower body? Nope. Trying not to really shift very much there. and then come up and hold here. And I could be reaching with my elbow, but see if I can really reach across with that shoulder. Maybe even use your hand to help direct toward that outside of your leg. Come back, hands behind that. Reach the other way. Hand toward the outside of the leg, hold. Still trying to lift everything up. Gonna come onto that other shoulder a little bit, right? Reach and hold. Reach and hold. One more on each side. Reach and hold. And reach and hold. Oh, good. Well, that seemed to find some things for me. Hopefully it did for you as well. Okay. So then let's take that leg up a little bit, get a little bit of stretch here. We're going to work with the fascia toe, heel, toe, heel. Just in a moment, we're going to take all these muscles and put them to work on a bike or in our rowing machine. Toe, heel. Get a nice stretch. Whichever one's feeling like it needs a little bit more, maybe pausing there. Maybe you like the front of the leg, feeling it when we point the toes. Maybe you like a little more when we have the heel. Toe, heel, toe, heel. One more. Toe, heel, toe, heel. Oh, that feels nice. All right. Other leg. Let's just get a couple of up, reach, heel, down, up, heel, down, heel, toe, heel, down, toe, heel, toe, down. Keep the leg up, toe, heel, toe, heel. Relax your knee, and then straighten that leg again. Toe, heel, toe. Come on down. Toe, heel, toe. Come on down. One more. Nice little stretch for the legs. Warming up as we move through that. Good. And coming down with the legs. Well, actually, I'm going to use one of those legs, maybe both. Hold on to the back. Get a little bit of rocking motion to come up to seated. Bringing the feet underneath or about hip distance or a little bit wider than the hips, I guess. Maybe as wide as your mat if you're on a mat. If sitting up straight is a little difficult here, so just kind of judge, am I rocking back behind my sitting bones? That's how you'll know you're also rounding in your low back. And if that's happening for you, maybe let those knees pop up so you can actually rotate upward onto your sitting bones. You can kind of see me going from kind of a backward here to, can I come up? And from this upward position, we get this really nice tall spine. So just noticing that nice tall spine. Let's hold on to the legs and feel how nice and tall we can get with that. Nice deep breath. Good. So in a minute, we're going to actually rotate back behind the sitting bones. We're actually going to do that on purpose. And we're going to be very active in pulling the belly back. So I'm going to come behind my sit bones, belly's going to come back, but now I'm going to bring the arms out and I'm going to start to reach out the other direction toward my toes. Keep pulling back. Notice how you're pulling yourself forward onto your sitting bones, but you're not really going too much further forward. It feels a little different. And then bring the arms down and sit back up again. So at when we're in our forward spine stretch there, it doesn't feel like I'm sitting on the pointy part of my sitting bones so much, but it's just because we're pulling back so much, right? We get kind of a softness to it. All right, let's do that one more time. Back behind the sitting bones, pulling back with the belly, and then reaching nicely. Reach, reach, reach. Arms reach, the head reaches, the belly continues to reach. We just kind of give that body that tug of war. Reach back, open the lower back, keep the upper body reaching, bring the hands down, bring them out to the side and up. Exhale, pull back, sit bones behind, and then we sort of move through all of that real estate that is the sitting bones. You wouldn't think there is some there, but we can definitely rotate our weight. Pull back, drop, and come back. Good. Go ahead and sit up nice and tall again. You can feel the very kind of points of those sitting bones or sitting upward, getting nice and tall. And when we take the hamstrings out of it, a lot of us can feel that a little bit more like, oh, this is what feels like to be nice and tall with the spine in a seated position. All right, we're going to take that one more place. Let's take our body a little bit to one side. We'll get a little stretch here. Lower body isn't going to move in this. Going to come back to center, twist, back to center. Bring the arms out in front, little twist. Lower body's not moving. We could have the heels digging in, knees up, so we're sitting up nice and tall. Twist, center, twist, center, twist, center, twist, center. Little pulse, center, 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 center. Last one. Center. Good. Now taking that twisting motion and adding it to our spine stretch, that one where we went forward. So whether your legs are up a little bit here, that's just fine. We could keep that leg up. I'm going to take one hand back behind me, palm upward. It's going to be like I'm grabbing for the baton back there. It's a real natural movement for the shoulder. Other arm's going to reach out in the direction of my toes. But then at the same time, we're going to pull back again in the low back. Pull back on that side. Head can reach out with the hand, but the belly and this back arm are reaching back. Come out to straight. Straight arms out to the side. Turn, reach back and out. Don't forget about pulling back with the belly. Otherwise, we're doing a yoga pose. We're not really doing much in the core. If we just fold forward at the legs, that's a different thing. Hold on this one. Pull back and reach. Sometimes my head gets a little bit lost in it. I want to reach with the head, pull back in the belly, especially that side belly that we worked with already, and coming back up. Good. All right, let's come up to our feet and find your cardio equipment. Quick setup here. Hopefully I've got enough room behind me. I'm gonna maybe have to move forward just a little. And get my weights out of the way. All right, here we go. I'm gonna start stepping up on my step, checking out my time, also checking out my heart rate, seeing where I'm at there. If you're wearing one of the straps, they're the most accurate still. If you're having one of your watches, um, they catch up eventually. I'm not sure how accurate they are minute to minute, but we do want to be aware of our level of exertion here and perceived level of exertion. So I'm probably not going to give too many instructions about the step unless I start doing something a little different. I'm just trying to get that movement that I can get while I'm on camera. If I were going for a walk or a hike, a little hard to do it while we're swimming. Good. Right. Settling in to see how did that work feel in the body that we did on the mat? How does it feel as we get settled onto the bike and start spinning a little bit? Maybe we're on the rower, just taking it easy to get started, get the arms moving, feel the legs pushing. And maybe we haven't really turned up the volume yet. Maybe bringing that attention to your feet, wherever they're at, feet in the shoes, Feel like a little more alive after doing that Pilates work, and we connected through the knee folds, kind of the lower body to the upper body. That always is a nice place to start for me. And we'll see if we do it next time or if we jump right into our cardio. Good. So again, if you want to watch, if you're on a step, you can watch. Alexa, be quiet. We have an Alexa. I don't know if I love that. Just learn how to shut her down. So just going to keep moving here a few more minutes at our level 1 pace, right? Heart rate, kind of at a comfortable pace, getting warmed up in the muscles. Checking my time here. It's been about 3 minutes, maybe 2.5. And eventually I'm going to need to take it up a notch in order to get to that level 2, probably even a low level 2 for me. But I'm also going to be talking to you, so I will give you those opportunities. And I'm not doing a hit session or anything where we're going to do 30 seconds on really hard. Maybe a future class. This one, I'm just going to get our cardio in. So if you're walking, maybe you're really noticing your surroundings, really cueing into a color or the sensation of the outdoors, or if you're in your home, same thing. We can really take in the sensations of the body. We can take in something beautiful in our space. We can also just be more like peripheral about it. There's there's lots of things in my space, but I'm focused on what we're doing here. So practicing that focus. Good. All right, it's been about 5 minutes. You can probably, turn up your um, repetition speed, or you can start to make it harder. If you're on a bike, you could make that resistance harder. You could probably make that resistance harder on a rowing machine or skiing machine as well. Make sure you're going to find that nice level 2 heart rate in that 2 zone. Like I said, I could use really like another step up here, but I've been working a lot on my knees, so it's okay. And I said we'd talk a little bit about why we sleep. So there's a book out there, Matthew Walker. I just checked it out online. There's a master class. Um, kind of thinking about taking it for the Price is Right. Um, was curious. Could read the book. I don't have the book though, so maybe there'll be some good videos or content there. So there were several podcasts done by people online also with him if you want to check out, look up his name. But I thought we would just talk a little bit about that. Coming back to feeling your feet or feeling that heart rate, checking in with that heart rate before we start to talk more about the sleep. I want to keep coming back. It's nice to learn something, but we don't want to get too distracted with it either. So, how do we stay present? Maybe have a little morsel, come back, stay present, have a little morsel. See if I can keep myself thinking at the same time as I start to vary what I'm doing here. Good. So, getting enough sleep. 5 takeaways is all I'm going to give you today. 5 takeaways from the sleep book. Getting enough sleep is more important than diet and exercise from the standpoint of mental and physical health. Getting enough sleep, more important than diet and exercise for mental and physical health. and what's enough. And we'll probably talk about these in a little more depth in the next couple of sessions. Usually, that you've heard, I'm sure, that 8 hours. And I think that that pretty much holds true. Trying to stick with that 8 hours. Some of us might be fine on 7, but I think very few can go less than 7 on a regular basis. And maybe even that would be a stretch. The podcast I listened to, they talked a lot about the quality of that sleep. There were a lot of different things to think about in that quality, quantity, um, what types of sleep. It gets very detailed. It's very interesting about how how we're doing with that sleep, right? We can have sleep that feels very light. We can have sleep that is deep sleep. Too close to my wall there. Have to do some arranging for next time. And so really trying to get that sleep because if we're I mean, so much of what maybe you and I have worked on is we're exercising, trying to do that right, trying to eat right. And then what if we're letting that sleep be like the last thing on the three pillars? And really, it should be the first. That regularity of when we go to bed, that's one of those ones that's in there with the quality. We need to be fairly regular about it. And I think about growing up and being in a more regular routine through my whole growing up, even through changes of household and all of those things. Um, we weren't chasing the schedules as much as we are right now that, you know, really just blow away meal times um, and bedtimes, frankly, too, right? We have devices. We think we can work into the evening. That the schedule for me was of a being on a farm where yes, there were times a year where we worked kind of with the sun, maybe longer days, things like that. And then there was also winter time where it was very regular. Bedtimes were fairly regular for me and wonderful. Probably was a good thing. All right, back to feeling our body. Sleep is more important than diet and exercise. Feeling my feet, feeling my feet, losing track of what I'm doing a little bit. Up, I'm going to come back down. Up, feel my breath, maybe check out my heart rate. Good. Nice. So, compared with other animals, the human need for sleep, we need a larger amount of REM sleep to fine tune our emotions and our creativity. I found this one interesting. We'll be able to kind of dig in a little bit more later when we're just doing the 5 takeaways. So, other animals, they don't have maybe the same amount of emotional um, processing, right, that we have to do. Maybe because speech is involved a little more. We know certainly that there are other animals that definitely show and demonstrate emotions, but they may not be quite as complex. So, that and our creativity, wow. That's really telling, isn't it? So, I really like thinking about that. Now I'm really gonna have to think about going up and over this thing because I gotta walk behind me. That's a tricky one. And if I want a little bit more cardio here, I might be moving my arms, up here with some weights. Please feel free to add on if you need to for, getting into that zone too. While I'm talking, this is probably just good. Perfect. Like a nice brisk walk downtown. We said one is that sleep is the most important. Two, compared with other animals, we need more REM sleep. And we'll talk more about REM sleep. I also Googled how good are these watches and sleep um, devices, right, at really predicting how much sleep you're getting. And I looked up the other day, how much deep sleep do I need? Because my watch is telling me, whatever I got. So I was curious about how much deep sleep do we normally need? The answer is usually about 1 to 2 hours. And that one has a different purpose than the REM sleep, right? At least on the Apple Watches, there's 4 stages, 4 stages they tell you about: core sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep, awake. Is there another one? Maybe you can think of it. Good. Checking our heart rate, seeing that we're staying in it, and we're not going way over it. But if you want to push yourself to that upper limit of your 2, seeing where that is. We're right in the middle of our work, and we're not going to be here all that long, right? Maximum is half an hour. I'm going to do anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes, just kind of depending on the amount of time I have and um, how much time we spent with the Pilates. Good. Number 3, so sleep is going to be always very important. And I'm probably going to tell you something that you already know. And but maybe it's not true for you. Maybe you've had good sleep your whole life, and sleep is a fairly easy thing for you. Always able to fall asleep anywhere, get your good night's sleep. Maybe you're very regular, and that helps, right? We talked about that already. Like just having that regularity is very, very important. I'm going to talk about that in one of these other points. I think that's the one that, as a parent, it's been very disruptive for me. I think I'm a person who could go to bed at the same time every night and really feel much better. And just picking up children after 10 doesn't work for that. So pretty soon they'll be independent. Tapping up, checking in. Quality sleep becomes more difficult as we age. Still very important to get that sleep. That doesn't mean we just say, oh, well, it gets hard. I guess I'm just going to stay up every night, or I'm going to uh, not pay attention to the schedule I need to do. So, number 4, sleep is beneficial to learning. Again, probably not rocket science. So, we free up space for new memories when we sleep, and we can remember new information. So, if we're learning, and when we have children around us, vital to that. But even I think now, I want to continue learning. I want to continue having a sharp mind. That sleep is going to help me process the memories, free up space for new memories, and free up space for that new information. Maybe you're trying something new. few months ago, I started playing pickleball. I've never played tennis. I don't, but there's a lot to learn or that I continue to learn with showing up to that practice and saying, oh, what can I do today? And how can I hit the ball differently and the motor skills. And then there's other pursuits I like to learn more about, like this, learning more about sleep. So how do I remember those? I get more sleep. Good. Settling in again. Where are the fingertips? Are the arms moving? Maybe they're hanging onto the bar as you're pulling, hanging onto the bicycle handles. Just feeling that tactile. What does that feel like in your hands? How present can we be to this practice? Maybe we're feeling a little damp or dewy, maybe even sweaty. And is that okay? You feel the air on your skin. Notice that your breathing is a little bit more than normal. Maybe it's sitting in there more at a more noticeable. You can tell I'm breathing harder, continuing to move like this. Good. Little outside kick here. Number 5. This one shocked me. I can't wait to read more about it because I was told, oh, almost 2 decades ago, but about 17 years ago, I remember the birth of my second child. I still think it was good advice to try to get sleep anywhere. I just have had a hard time with that in my adulthood, being able to fall asleep anywhere at any time of the day. Very much kind of a slave to that chronological, that's not the right word. The cyclical day clock. Can't think of that. Chronotype, is that correct? So for me, going to bed on time, getting up when I normally get up, that's when I'm going to get my best sleep. And not that I can't nap, but I can't nap right away in the morning or for the most part. Like I need to get up, do my routine, and then maybe I'll sleep a little later. If I get up extremely early, maybe I'll nap earlier, right? So number 5 was it's impossible to make up a debt of sleep. So they said it compounds like a loan. When we don't sleep, there's a chemical called adenosine, Adensoine, that starts to build up in our brain all day long. Other side. When we don't sleep enough, we don't clear it. And I think Scott's talked about this too in the sleep. We had a workshop a long time ago on sleep, but when we don't sleep, we don't clear out the um, the waste of the brain, and maybe that adenosine is part of that. Not an expert yet, and so it makes us groggy to not have that gone. So when we wake up and we haven't had enough of that sleep that will clear the adenosine, we're gonna feel that tiredness during the day. We also in the midst of that think that on that 6 hours of sleep or on that sleep that didn't happen at the best time for us. They talk a lot about these body types of in the um, podcasts I listen to, that we all have like the best times of day for us to go to bed and the best times of day for us to wake up. And that some people are going to be doing that much later. They're going to go to bed later, get up later. I think they had four or five types. So they probably talk about that more in the book. I'll bring more of that back because I think it's really interesting. I happen to be kind of set toward more toward morning, go to bed early, and get up a little bit earlier. but I'm probably not the earliest type of person who likes to get up at 4 or 5 and go to bed at 8. Um, but we think that we've got it together. But the studies show that we don't know that we're sleep impaired, and yet we're driving vehicles and we're doing everything else, and we think we're just fine. So I think that's pretty interesting. Another really good reason to get those hours in. How are we doing? Oh, just about time to stop. Let's do a couple more minutes here, settling in, feeling the body. Maybe you can feel your feet inside your sneakers. If you're doing what I'm doing, you can feel that texture even through my socks. I can feel the texture of my step. I'm checking in with heart rate. Where's my heart rate at? Let's see the last time we took it. Yeah, pretty good. If you've got one running right alongside, that's even better, your heart rate. And you know where your zone is. We're just wanting to get that time in, right? 30 minutes, 5 times a week, something like that. We don't have to overdo it. Or we can find maybe softer ways of doing it. Maybe we need to include that swimming or water aerobics. Somebody was telling me they're doing water yoga, getting that movement in other ways, biking, just cross training a little bit. If you have one thing you like a lot, trying not to wear out, as I tell myself with the pickleball. It's very fun, but it's a lot of movement. Can be a lot of movement on the knees that I'm not used to doing. All right, so I'm feeling that in my space here, in my body. I want to do a little bit more. I'm lifting my arms up, maybe doing some W's. Do last minute here. Up, up. Keep it going. If you can be slowing down just a little bit. Pace is slowing down. How many minutes did you get? Maybe you've got a nice clock there. My clock died. So I'm trying to do math while I teach. Did we get in pretty close, 25 minutes at least? Maybe a little more. Slowing it down. Noticing if your heart rate's coming down at all. And then we're going to find our way to the mat. So as you're ready, if you want to get in that one more minute, go ahead and check out where you're at. If you want to get in your 30 minutes, you might keep going and just come back or pause the video. Good. Where are we at? Yeah. One more. Up and over. Back. I think I'm landing right around those 25 minutes. And I want to do a little bit more on the mat and before we say goodbye. Do a little balance work and see how that lands. I'm going to take my equipment away here. And just see how that feels in the body. Stop. And definitely feel the effects of moving for consistently for our time. Keeping that mindfulness there. Good. So then let's take our feet in parallel, toes forward, knees forward. Let's bring our hands to genie arms. And then let's bend shins forward, let the seat come down and come back up. Shins forward and come back up. Shins and up. Shins and up. Good. Shins and up. Good. I'm going to come down here and pause. I'm in a pretty high chair position. I didn't bring my seat way down. I'm going to shift my weight, lift one heel up, maybe spread the toes out, really feel all the toes. Maybe come up on the tippy toes. It's nice to feel the tippy toes. We don't ever get to really be acquainted with them. And then maybe that foot comes all the way off and we're balancing on the leg here. Remember, our seat is a little bit low, trying to be in a little bit of a lunge, or excuse me, a little bit of a squat, and then bring that foot back down and let's come up to stand. Heart rate go up. Mine did. Just a little bit. All right, back to genie arms. Can you put a different arm on top? Go ahead and come to bend. Shift the weight. Feel the toes, ball of the foot really stretching out, even though I've got my socks on, toes nice and wide. I'm gonna come all the way up. Also then find the tips of my toes best I can. I kind of missed the pinky, but the rest of them getting a grab, like I'm gonna grab with my toes and then up on the top and then lift. You can keep those toes there if lifting is not feeling like the best move. We don't want anybody toppling. Come back to both feet and come up to stand. Good. Breath. And then let's take the hands behind you. If they don't reach behind you, just push back like this, like we did earlier with those palms behind you. But the shoulder blades come together a little bit, opening the chest and strengthening the back body. Let's push behind us. And then let's bend the knees again, shins forward. Let your torso come forward. And if you'd like to, we're going to do that reach up again with one foot, taking the weight to the other leg. And we're going to maybe slide that foot back a little bit. You can keep your toes on the floor, slide back, toes on the floor, slide back. Or you can do a little hop here, back and forward, back and forward. Arms, keep pushing like you've got some heavy air to push back here. So we're either sliding or keeping that really close to the floor, or you might be picking up and pushing back. Let's do that. 3, 2, 1. But leave that foot back there. Lean into that foot without the heel coming down. See if you can get far enough back. That we're doing this front lunge here. Nice straight leg. Reach back. Come all the way up. Relax the arms. Good. Straighten the front leg. Good. Bend both knees. Nice straight torso now. Down and up. Down and up. Down and up. Good. Nice straight leg back here. Front knee bends. Keep everything kind of pulling up here. Belly button pulling in, nice straight spine like we did earlier. Reaching back with that leg as you go forward just a little bit with that front knee. And then stepping forward. Good. Shaking it out. Let's do that other side. We took the hands behind us, shoulder blades coming in, pushing back, coming into that sort of crouched position, lifting this foot up, weight on the other foot, and then we slid back and forward, back and forward, back and forward, back and forward. Reach back, tap, tap, tap. Nice and controlled. Tap. You can always have your finger on the chair, your fingers on the wall if you need that. Good. Foot comes back to stay, landing on the ball of the foot. Nice straight leg back there. Bring the torso upright, straighten the front leg. If we bring the leg in, I'm pretty close to each other. If you feel like you're a little bit wobbly, take that front leg out to the side a little bit. Good. And then we did bending both knees just a few times here. Both knees. Both knees. Gonna relax my arms. Both, both. 2, 1. Good. Reach back with the back leg. Front knee goes forward. Zipping up in the front a little bit. Belly button comes in. Bring the arms up to that genie position. Maybe even lifting the arms up a little more, or they could reach out. But the further the arms go up, the more we use the belly to pull the pelvis upright as well. Reaching the knee forward, other knee goes back, really straightening the back leg. Good. Lean forward, step forward. Good. Nicely done. Okay, one thing to even us out, we did one side and then the other. Chin toward the chest, lowering down, rolling down. Enjoy any part of that that you'd like. Where does it feel like you get the most relief for the back? And in this forward fold position, taking a couple breaths. And just letting your breath then be however it wants to be. Maybe you're taking in those bigger breaths, but it's not really you directing the show. And then roll yourself back up. All right. Very good. I think we got in a bunch of good things here today. Got in our cardio, got in a little Pilates, a little bit of movement here at the end as well. I look forward to seeing you again soon. We'll talk some more about sleep and how important it is. Thanks so much for being here today. Have a good one.